Good morning, it is Tuesday the 20th of February 2024. I haven't made a video in a while and I thought, why not do a sort of half week in my life, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, just because quite a few interesting things are going on. Now, by no means is this necessarily representative of a normal half week in my life. Really, it depends on what's going on at work, it depends on what's going on at university, what's going on in my social life, so my weeks vary. It's kind of impossible to give you a representative half week in my life. So this is just one of many half weeks of my life. Now, for those of you that don't know, over the last 2.5 years, I've been working full-time and I've been studying full-time, at times more than full-time, which actually allowed me to finish my bachelor's degree within 5 semesters rather than 6. I will definitely make a video about my bachelor's experience at some point. Throughout that time, I've also been working at Voi, a Swedish micromobility provider, in different roles, but for the last year or so, I've been working within data privacy. It's also been an incredible experience, a video about my work career so far, definitely coming, which is really weird because I am definitely very early on in my career, but I feel like it's been a roller coaster, not just because I've been studying full time, but also just because I've had so many incredible experiences, both at Voi and very briefly at Klarna before Voi. Being in a new country in Sweden, it has definitely been quite exciting, so stick around for those at some point in the future. Now, although I am finished with my bachelor's degree, my master's degree only starts after the summer. So what I'm doing for right now is I'm taking some freestanding courses here in Uppsala where I live. So I did my bachelor's degree mostly at Stockholm University with a few credits from other places added into that degree. But since I live in Uppsala, this is where my girlfriend studies, it's just easier for me to study here. So what I'm doing at the moment is I have 100% PACE courses in aesthetics for the entire semester, and then, or sort of other aspects of philosophy also, and I'm also taking a 25% online course in sustainable development. It is quite busy, life is quite busy, but it's really nice because the philosophy department is really close to where I live. I can just walk or take a bus or take a Voi or whatever over to the campus. My sustainable development stuff is online. I work from home the vast majority of days. If I do go into the office, I can plan that around my schedule, since my team is sort of based all around Sweden and the wider legal team is based all around the world. We're never forced to go into the office. That's some context for this video and my sort of educational background and work background. I have to do some work now. I have a meeting in about an hour and a half to prepare our data protection officer and our general counsel on what's been going on within data privacy over the last month. So I have to finish off those slides, finish my notes, but I will talk to you once I'm done with that, hopefully before the meeting. A change of attire, a few hours and a smoothie for brunch later. It's now lunchtime. I'm not going to have any food. I don't have the time for that. I need to do a little bit of reading for an article and then I need to head off straight to the university. Now at the moment I have 2 seminars a week, once on a Tuesday, once on a Thursday. There's always a topic or article to discuss and I haven't yet read that article. I probably should have done it last week, but I was busy with other work. Should have done it over the weekend, but on Friday I went out to a club to socialise with some friends. On Saturday I went to the gym with a friend and also watched the Melodifestivalen. And on Sunday I was just tired. So we are where we are. It's not too much reading, it's about 20 pages or so, so I'll manage. I also don't have to be at the seminars, but I find them useful. So if I can move around meetings at work, I will go to the seminar and then stay online, do some emails and stuff, ask some questions as I need to. My meeting at work went really well. Every month I host a privacy and information security steering committee with some very senior stakeholders. Working at Voi, there's a lot of flexibility, obviously, working with my studies. If I had to choose one or the other, For now, I would definitely prioritize my studies, so I think it's a win-win situation for me and for Voy that there is this flexibility. Because the teams are located everywhere, as I said, I don't need to go into the office very regularly. I just think it's a wonderful environment, right? With a lot of responsibility, a lot of trust. I get to decide what the stakeholders need to be aware of, what projects to work on, what the high risks are, where I need support. Being able to work with so many senior stakeholders so early in my career is a wonderful experience for sure. Working within privacy also is incredibly challenging. A lot of people think we're there to, block certain initiatives, and that's not the case at all. We're there to understand our different processing activities, to map out risks, to mitigate those risks, to find compliant ways and balance, right, those compliance risks and those business risks. Now, ultimately, a lot of people involved in the compliance space know very little about how businesses operate, right? They don't have a business background, they don't have any understanding of technical aspects. And whilst, I did study business for my bachelor's degree, I didn't do any sort of data analysis or any programming or anything, but I generally feel that I have a pretty solid understanding of how a lot of that works, at least within the Voy context. So being able to work with very technical stakeholders and find solutions for the challenges that they have or projects that they want to lead, I find is incredibly fun and incredibly rewarding, particularly when you do find a good solution and you're able to unlock some new capability or get rid of some limiting factor. I really enjoy working in privacy, and I'll have to make a video about how I haven't studied law, I don't have a legal background, but it's connected to my work and potentially some future studies, so do stay tuned for that. Just before I head off, do some reading, then go to university, I just want to say that there's no particular reason that I have the suit on. I just thought that it's one of those days where I want to have it on, it's going to make me feel productive. I love this suit. I have a wonderful tailors in the UK, King & Allen. They make fully vegan suits from the outer fabric, the inner lining, the embroidery, the threads, the buttons, the inner canvas, whatever it is, it's entirely vegan. It's wonderful. This particular suit is primarily made out of bamboo and a viscose lining. I love it. Got a navy blue jacket, navy blue waistcoat, got some grey trousers on. I also have these braces, which I got from Noah's Vegan Shoes, I believe. And then this tie from Gustrick & Company, a Swedish suit maker. I believe that this bamboo fabric is from the same weavers as the suit, but I'm not sure. There's a lot of weavers in Huddersfield, so I could be wrong about that. This shirt is from Carpus's. It's organic and fair trade cotton. I love it, but two problems with it. One, these collar stays are made out of maple wood and they break really easily, so I need to order some new ones. Two, it's kind of a pain in the ass to iron. So if anybody knows any good, ethical, sustainable shirts, dress shirts, which don't wrinkle so easily or are just easy to iron, please let me know, because I would love to hear about them. And then my socks, those are from Colourful Standard. Asta got me some new socks for Valentine's Day. I love them. And my shoes that I'm going to wear today, they are from Vegetarian Shoes. I've had them for like 6 years, recently got them resoled and relaced. They're kind of dying, but they're fine. They work. It's sustainable, right? I think so. Anyway, time to do some reading, time to do some studying, and then go to university. Just when you think I couldn't get any more pretentious, I pull out the wonderful Elvis & Kress briefcase. I do love it though. So I've made it home. It was a really nice seminar. I really do like the campus and appreciate that it's really close to where I live. My cohort's a fairly small group, but they're a really lovely group at the same time. Have some very interesting discussions and debates. Today there was only about 10 of us in the classroom, so ample time to get your own views and questions across and reach out to the teacher whenever you need assistance. So The article which we were discussing, which I only looked at just before we left, was about sort of the aesthetic qualities within objects, right? And it took this sort of Kantian approach that there are certain aesthetic characteristics which you can objectively assess. And I think this is a really problematic view, because I think that you can reduce all aesthetic experiences down to a very utilitarian calculus of pleasure and pain. And that whilst gaining a better understanding or knowledge or cultural context about certain aesthetic objects can improve your aesthetic experiences, I don't think that's necessarily the case. So a good example of this is wine tasting. Right? A sommelier can absolutely appreciate the characteristics of wine in a way that someone who's your sort of normal wine drinker can't. But there's nothing which necessitates the fact that the sommelier has a greater aesthetic experience of actually drinking the wine than someone who isn't a sommelier. So essentially what I think is that you should compare like pleasures to like pleasures. The source of the pleasure doesn't matter. Yes, generally improving your knowledge about a certain topic might allow you to appreciate new aesthetic pleasures. Those aesthetic pleasures in many cases, are going to be of a greater intensity and duration than if you didn't have that knowledge, but I don't think it's necessitated. And I think by suggesting that it's inherently of a higher quality if you get aesthetic pleasures from this understanding, essentially, I think we end up excluding a lot of aesthetic pleasures which are accessible to those who maybe don't have the background, don't have the privileges. I think there's a lot of sort of socio-political, economic considerations that we probably need to make, which I don't think the author is trying to discriminate against groups of people, but I think unintentionally does so. And there were some discussions about whether this is the case or whether it just means we should promote education within the arts to other people. That's a discussion for another time. Either way, straight after my seminar, I had a meeting which I took online from the campus and then took a way back home. I am gonna heat up some rice and cook up some fried tofu, just a really simple, quick, probably not the most nutritious of meals in the world, but who cares, it's food and I'm hungry. And then I'm gonna get back to work. I've got a few more hours of work today. I have had a really nice discussion about cookies and chatbots and the privacy implications of that. I have a few more documents that I wanna review, a few risk assessments to do, a few emails to send, and then I should be done for the day. But I spent a lot of time, and I spend a lot of time during my seminars, doing bits and pieces of VOI work on my laptop. So I do apologize to anyone that thinks that either, one, I'm taking a bunch of notes and they should be taking a bunch of notes. I'm not. And two, to anyone that gets distracted by my click-clacking of the keyboard. But it is what it is. I forgot to vlog it. But after work, I did an hour of tutoring. I do some tutoring in philosophy, politics, and English every once in a while. Today was philosophy for an A-level student, and as it's coming up to the A-level exams, we're doing a lot of exam practice questions. There's some 12-mark questions today about religious language and the design or teleological argument. It's super fun. I always love looking at philosophy and teaching philosophy. It's one of the subjects which I really enjoyed during my A-levels. And Asta's now home. She's currently doing an internship at Human Rights Watch based in Stockholm. So a lot of commuting, but glad that she's home. I'm pretty tired. Gonna have some dinner, do some tidying up, and some very light VOI work, I think. Just sending off some emails and reviewing some documents. Nothing too intense, but I want to spend some time on that because I did miss a little bit of work time during the seminar, even though obviously I was doing some work stuff. You can't pay full attention, so it is what it is. Good morning, it's now Wednesday the 21st of February. Yesterday evening after my lesson I had some dinner, did some VOI work, and then watched some Friends with Asta. Didn't do any studying, didn't feel like a studying kind of night, and had an early sleep also, which was really nice. This morning I've had some breakfast, had some rice. Rice is the best breakfast food. I've never really gotten accustomed to the idea of breakfast foods being fundamentally different to lunch or dinner foods, but regardless. And now I'm doing some VOI work. This morning I have a few tasks that I want to do. There are some updates to the steering committee slides and presentation that I need to make before that later today. I have a data protection agreement that I need to review, make sure that it's all compliant, everything in there contractually is fine, and get that sent off. I have some emails that I need to respond to that are coming into our data protection officer inbox, some requests, some fairly standard things. Our head of marketing has a new, I'm not sure if it's a system or product or process at this point, but there's a new something which she's asked me to review and see if we need to make any adjustments, for example, to our privacy policy or other communications to users, or do a risk assessment, so there's the standard type of things there. And then finally, our user support team has a GDPR training program which all the agents have to complete. They made some updates to that and they would like me to review. It sounds like a lot of things to try and do before lunch, given that it's only 2.5 hours until lunch, but I don't think any of these are going to be too time consuming. So we'll see if we get there. It's 11:52. I managed to do all the tasks that I wanted to before lunch, plus one more, so it was a really productive morning. I need to find something to eat. I have no idea what I'm going to do, but hopefully something really simple. Then I'll do some reading for my aesthetics course for half an hour or so, and take Voy over to the university. So I said yesterday that I usually only have 2 aesthetics seminars per week, and that's true. And I don't go to about half of them. So I'm only there sort of averaged out over the month, maybe once a week. But today there's something really fun going on. There's a meeting for the university's environmental plan. And I think it was last done in 2019. It's a mess. It's a really terrible environmental plan, and they're updating it and they want student input. So Asta, alongside her full-time internship at Human Rights Watch, also leads 2 organizations here in Uppsala. So she's co-chair of Klimat Studenterna, the climate students, and she also leads Plant-Based Universities, a pressure group based all around Europe and I think 1 or 2 places in the US, focused on pushing universities towards plant-based food systems as primarily an environmental movement, but also, of course, there are ethical and animal rights undertones there. Obviously, both of those organizations are going to have a lot to say and lots of synergies in regards to what they want in the environmental plan. Because Asta's in Stockholm today, she asked me, can I head over to this meeting and represent them there? So there should be quite a few people that I know from both those organizations, but also the Green Party's youth wing here in Uppsala. I know a few of them, so should be really fun, but I need to stop yapping and find something to eat. Right, it's not quite suit attire today, but I do have the briefcase, so if that counts for any points. Anyway, I'm off to find a boy. The weather is very foggy, very wet today, but I think winter is coming to an end, which should be nice. I can't wait for spring, because that means summer is around the corner, so I can't wait for summer, essentially. The environmental plan workshop was alright, I guess. I think there was about 10 to 15 of us that showed up, which is a pretty decent turnout. I knew a handful of the people there, which was nice. We had some decent discussions. We did get the opportunity to talk about what we wanted to see in the next environmental plan, come up with a few goals and KPIs. Yeah, it was alright. We probably should have had more time doing that. Overall, I think it was a bit less concrete than I would have liked it to be. We didn't really get to spend much time critiquing the previous plan or discussing our sort of suggested KPIs or how there were issues with the scope of the plan. It was very much sort of, what do you guys feel? What are you upset about? What do you think the difficulties are? And don't get me wrong, there are difficulties in implementing an environmental plan, particularly at a university. It's so large, so decentralized. There's a lot of people coordinating it. Maybe they don't have the resources to do so. But, give us that context. Don't ask us what we think. Tell us what you're finding difficult. Work with us on building good goals, objectives, good performance indicators. Also explain to us sort of what you're going to do and how we can help you overcome some of those challenges in collaboration with others, right? So the focus was a little bit strange. Either way, after I got home, I did a little bit more VOI work. It was a pretty productive day at VOI, I would say overall. I had a tutoring lesson, this time in English, and we looked at The Tempest, something actually that I studied for GCSEs, and now my student is studying, but he is a bit younger than GCSE level. That finished up, did ever so slightly more VOI work. Again, I was sort of working throughout the environmental plan, so sort of half tuning in, but since a lot of it wasn't important, it was more beneficial use of my time just to do some VOI stuff. Did my lesson anyway, had some delicious food, which Asta made. We watched some Friends again. I mean, we've been watching Friends for a really long time now. Like, I don't know, 2 months? Longer than that? 2 months, maybe. Yeah.
We're on the 6th season, I think.
6th season, so we're just over halfway through. It's gonna be middle of Easter by the time that we're done. But it's good, it's fun. And then had dessert, then did a little bit of sustainable development video watching. So my course, even though it's online, it makes no sense. It's not entirely asynchronous. Sort of the modules come out every other week or so, a new one gets released. I don't know why. They could just upload all of them at the same time. It would make everyone's lives much easier, but I have to wait anyway. Did that, and now I'm gonna do my pre-reading. I say pre-reading. Do my reading for my aesthetics course tomorrow. Leave some notes in the document again, and head off to sleep. But I will see you all tomorrow. Good morning. It is Thursday the 22nd of February 2024. It's the last day of this half-week vlog type thing. This morning was interesting. I got out of bed slightly earlier than usually, had a shower, and just as I was finishing up, the building maintenance people came knocking on the door, so I went to them in my dressing gown. I was like, no, you can come in, you can drain the radiators of the air and flush them through, that's fine. But did a bit of tidying up. I did a bit more reading on this aesthetics paper for today's seminar. I have a little bit left, but really not that much. It's sort of giving a historical account of sort of Kant's views on aesthetic, which obviously is a massive topic, and it doesn't cover everything Kant said about aesthetics, but one particular part. Not the most interesting of papers so far, to be honest. I've been working this morning now for a few hours. Sometimes privacy work is hard. There's a lot of collaboration that's needed, and sometimes stakeholders aren't necessarily aligned, and sometimes very senior stakeholders aren't aligned, and admittedly, sometimes I don't understand their perspectives, and I'm sure they don't understand my perspectives also, but trying to understand other people's perspectives when they are so senior and don't have the time to explain things to you can be quite frustrating. Nonetheless, we make the most out of the information we have available. So yeah, but it's been a frustrating morning so far. I'm sure as the day progresses, I'll get more and more done and it'll clear up. But I have to hop into a meeting now. So I'm part of the wider legal organization, and we have weekly syncs just to sort of check up on what others within the org are doing, see where we can help each other, where we're blocked, what we might need to be aware about, a general update on the status of the organization as well. So I'll hop into that and I'll see you guys later. The sync went pretty well. To be honest, I didn't have that much that I wanted to share with the wider group. A lot of the work that I'm doing at the moment and sort of more generally is quite solo work that goes on in the background, and those that need to know, and those that don't tend not to know some of the nitty-gritty stuff. But when I make a video about my career so far, I'll talk a lot about the key things that I work with, and you know, beyond sort of a 3-day look at my life, what are the general things that people within data privacy actually sort of prioritize and do? What are the risks? What are the challenges? All that type of stuff. But it was nice to sort of understand what my colleagues were working on, and the data protection officer said some very kind things about the impact that I'm having on the sort of wider VOI privacy landscape. So that was really nice to hear. I have about half an hour more of work, and I'm going to eat some lunch read a few pages and sort of annotate my aesthetics article, and then head off back to the university. So, editing Kevin from the future here, I realised that I actually never ended the vlog. I didn't tell you how the seminar went or what I did the rest of the day. The seminar was good. It was a fairly standard seminar, but I thoroughly enjoyed the rest of that course. So as I'm editing here on the 13th of March, I have 2 more days to submit my final essay as part of that course, where I'm writing about simulated violence against non-human animals. When is it ethically problematic? When is it not ethically problematic? Something that I hadn't thought about very much, or not seriously anyway, before I started this course. So that's super fun. Maybe I'll talk about it another time in the next vlog. You know, I came home, I did some more voy work, I had dinner, I did some more voy work, I watched some more Friends, and I went to bed. It was a fairly repetitive week in some ways, but nonetheless a very enjoyable, a very productive week, and I hope that you've all enjoyed watching this vlog. If you have any questions for me about my work or my studies or the balance between them, or really anything, let me know so that I can incorporate them when I make videos about those topics. If not, don't worry, I'll come up with my own questions and I'm sure it will be fine. But again, I hope you've enjoyed this video, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you guys again very soon.